Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 3 premiere of From, a great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're picking up exactly where the Season 2 finale left us, and that is with Tabitha, finding out ultimately that she's in Camden, Maine. And it's like, right, she can't really say anything to anyone. She's not telling anyone her name. She knows that the police are coming because they're like, right, your wounds, and we found you with no ID. Like, you know, as any good hospital would do, they're like, yeah, we need to find out what your circumstances are. It's just protocol. Just want to make sure you're okay. And it's like, we want to run some tests on you. I wonder if you did run some tests on Tabitha or anyone that's stuck in that town, like, would there be anything in them that would come up weird, or would they just appear relatively normal? I'm curious if there's like any after effect of something inside of you genetically or whatever that place alters. Probably not, but Tabitha wasn't going to stick around long enough to find out because she wasn't in a position to answer questions, because who can she talk to about it? It's like, that's the struggle of, I have no one to talk about this. I'm out and about, but my family's still there. I don't know how to get back to them. I don't know how to get them out of there. It's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The boy told me before he pushed me out the lighthouse, this was the only way. And for what purpose, I don't know. She's wandering around feeling so lost and alone. There's no one she can talk to, so she calls her mom because she's like, I just want you to not be afraid. I need you to know me and the kids, me and Jim, we're going to try and find our way back to you. I can't let you know what's going on. I'll explain everything later. I needed to hear your voice, Mom, and I needed you to hear mine. But it's like, even she later on is like, yeah, maybe that probably wasn't the best thing, because there's already police involved looking for her, because we actually don't know how long they've been going. I mean, I'm sure they've tallied that. They probably have mentioned that it's been a minute, so I might be forgetting. I'm sure they keep track of time. I mean, we know some of the people like Donna and them have been there for like 3 years, but I don't know how long Jim and his family have been there. So it is just a sad situation all around, and it's just like you're feeling so hopeless because you don't know what to do. You have nowhere to guide you. So after talking to her mom, she ends up going to a church. And it's like, you're the only person I can talk to, but I can't really even tell you about it because everyone and anyone would think I'm crazy. Understandably, if I hadn't been what I've been through, I think I was crazy too. And so it's like, right, I don't know last time I prayed. And, obviously the priest is coming from the perspective of, well, God only put stuff in your way. It's like, no. If God was really the way you said he is, that must mean that he made that place too. He's responsible for making that horrible place. So she's like, I don't need that. I need to leave. And so like the priest is actually trying to help her. He's like, hey, what do you need? Like, what's going on? And it's like, oh, like, do you have children? He did say something interesting where she's like, maybe she said something at the time, but I didn't think she did. But she was like, my child wouldn't have rolled off the changing table. And he was like, what was your child's name? What was his name? And I was like, I had to stop because I was like, did she ever say it was a boy? Maybe she did, and maybe I'm overthinking that. But she was like, it was Thomas. It's like, yeah. Do you have other children? He's like, I'm just guessing that based on the lunchbox. And she's like, no, this was Victor's. He's a nice man. He made me a snack. It's like, well, what kind of snack did Victor make you? And then she opens it up and sees at the bottom of the lunchbox is Victor's address. So it's like, you just happen to be in the same place, same town that Victor's from. So this kind of pointed in the right direction, and she shows up at his house and finds his father still alive. And it's like he immediately recognizes the lunchbox. Now, what Tabitha is going to say is going to sound crazy. I don't know how you deal, how do you tell him like everything that you know without sounding crazy? You can't, because he'll most likely call the police because he'll think, oh, did you have something to do with my son's disappearance? Or at the very least, were you in the same place my son was? Like, wait, he's still alive? Like, there's so much there that I'm like, it's not going to be the happy thing that Tabitha hopes it to be. But at the same time, what I think is interesting, though, is when Tabitha was there, he was like, oh, God, go away. It's almost like people pester him. I don't know. He might be a pariah because people think he had something to do with his family's disappearance. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why he's like, I've always had to deal with people thinking the worst of me, that I'm a monster who did something to my family. Maybe that's what he thought Tabitha was, like there's a spectator in that capacity. Because he was just kind of like, he saw her, he was just like, oh my God, here we go again. Or maybe it's like he's had to deal with years of people being like, oh, I know where your family is, yada, 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 false lead after false lead. So And this is the first glimmer of hope that he's probably had in years, because it's like you have that, but it's like, I don't know. There's still so much there's so many directions that can go. We'll have to wait to see, to get more on that situation, to find out, like, why is Tabitha here? Like, is this going to be the lead to something? And what exactly, like, what can this, like, how can anything outside of that town help them in that regard? Like, I don't know how do you deal with this situation. So we'll have to wait to see on that front. Obviously, we're picking up with Boyd, cleaning up his wounds, still talking to Father Kotri. And I love the whole thing of, like, right, their situation is screwed. They're running low on food. There just doesn't, this place is, as it's always done, is wearing them down little by little. You thought you had your system, but it's like, yeah, that's not enough. That's not to keep you going anymore, considering, like, you already lost half your crops. You're in very dire situations, but you're trying to keep your hope up. But I thought it was interesting because Boyd's like, yeah, that thing that was talking to me was pretending to be my wife, but it wasn't her. Now, what does that say about you? And Kotri's like, I can't answer that. So I'm wondering, are there some angels and devils here? So it's kind of a thing of, some people are here to actually help you, like Kotri is here to help you, whereas, like, you know, your wife, is Abby, right, is there to kind of break you. So I'm wondering if that's what that's supposed to be, and that, you know, I don't know if that's actually, like, legitimately Kotri, or, like, is this place, like, fucking, like, finding every means that it can to fuck with you on all sides by trying to give you hope while also taking it away. I don't know. But that, he speaks too much like Father Kotri, but this, because you look at everyone else, but we haven't been in a situation, we see these monsters pretending to be people, but we don't ever see them, like, actively. So he's not one of the monsters, but he's still, like, the thing that was pretending to be Abby talked very much like Abby, and I don't, like I said, if that's his wife's name. I swear it was, but I could be misremembering. So do forgive me if I'm saying the name Abby, but that's totally not her name. We've got that. We've got Jim struggling on multiple fronts. His son wanting to go out in the woods, trying to find, you know, Tabitha. It's like, we shouldn't have let mom go alone. We have to go after her. And Jim's struggling because it's like, his family's kind of falling apart. He's like, my children need their mother. Julie's going through what she's going through, which she's not even talking about whatever she experienced. Neither her, Randall, or what's her face, going through it. Like, we didn't see her at all this episode. We saw Christy this episode, but not her SO. But we don't know what they fully experienced while they were under. And obviously, Julie's still going through it. And I think Randall is too, because when he was talking to the others, he was like, you guys don't know. You just don't know. Which, to be fair, like, when it came to the whole animal situation, I would have listened to Boyd. Boyd's the one that woke you up from your trance. It's like, so, like, Boyd asked you to do something, you kind of indebted to him. I would kind of view it that way, but either way, we have multiple things going on. Like I said, we had the whole situation of Ethan wanting to go after his mom, but Jim takes it upon himself of, like, I'm got to do this. Though Boyd is trying to talk him out of it, but it's like, I have to. Jim, Boyd kind of crosses a little bit of a line. Is like, yeah, but she might already be. And Jim's like, I don't even want to hear that. I need to go. And my children need their mother. I need my wife back. Like, we have to. We're all we have. And it's like, I shouldn't have let her go in the first place. I have to go out there. And so Kenny decides to go with him, which Boyd's like, I don't want you to do that. He's like, I get it. You're afraid. And Boyd's like, I'm not afraid. He's like, no, you are. And that's okay. You have every reason to be. You're the only one that's ventured out that deep into the woods. Not just once, but multiple times, and it's fucked with you. Understandably, this place has continued to F with us, but going deeper into the woods, it's some scary, scary shit. And it's just like, you don't want to deal with that. You've already come back twice. You don't want to push your luck type of situation, so. But Kenny is like, I'm going to do this. He's telling his mom it's going to be okay. He's telling Christy it's going to be okay. His main motivation is, I know what it's like to lose a parent. And he's like, I don't want Ethan and Julie to have to go through that. The irony behind that statement, as we get at the end of the episode, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So it's just like, at the end of the day, like, Kenny's such a good dude and he just wants to help. He wants to be of service to people. He wants to make sure, like, Jim's not out there alone. He has some backup. So they make their plan, the spider webs, the tent, the talisman, and all of it, like all the advice Boyd can give them. So they go out. which, let's stay on them for a bit. They end up finding these statues, which Boyd never saw. So you're like, okay, what is this place? And Jim's kind of thinking like, well, maybe this is a good spot. We could put the talisman up here. It's kind of little like built facility, like, you know, so as long as we stay here. But even though Kenny was like, no, like Boyd told us if we see the spider webs, we're going the right direction. So it's like, was this all a misdirection? Like, was it to pull you farther away? Like, maybe it's a thing of Tabitha is the only one who can go, like, there can only be one person, so maybe this place is meant to like divert you, so like no, multiple people can't go through what Tabitha went through. That was a one and done, and we cannot have anyone else do it. Just maybe it's like the rules of this world, like maybe that little kid found a loophole and Tabitha was that loophole, no one else can utilize it. So maybe that's like a, I'm gonna take you away from that, following that path, because that path is closed forever. So it could just be like, hey, we are really going into wrong directions. Who knows? But even Jim started wondering, like, you know, I recognize now sitting here, I'm like, what am I doing? I could potentially get killed out here and I would leave my children with nothing. And that's on me. Tabitha would not want me to do this. That's why she went along, because she needed at least one of us to stay behind to make sure. I mean, to be fair, it seems like everything was been pushing and pulling Tabitha to be the one to do this. Like, for whatever reason, she ended up getting closer to Victor. She's the one that's also been seeing things. All the people that are seeing things have some key role in all this. They all have pieces to the puzzle that none of them can quite scratch and put together. But I was scared the entire time. Like, jumping ahead a little bit, well, quite a bit, the Tien Chen situation, I was so scared for Kenny. Kenny was the one I was worried about. It wasn't even his mom. I didn't cross my mind to be worried, but it's like, that's the irony behind it. He went to make sure someone else's parent was okay, having already lost a parent himself. That motivated that. And while he's gone, what happens to his mom is happening to his mom. And you're just like, that's why that ending is such a gut punch. Because the sad thing is, because Kenny, twofold, Jim is going to blame himself, because he's like, if I didn't want to go out here, and I also ended up changing my mind, so it was all for nothing, Kenny could have been here with his mom. And Kenny's going to blame himself for, like, because I tried to help out someone else's family, I lost even more of my family. This place is breaking people. It's breaking Boyd. It's going to break Kenny. And it's just like, that is sad. That's, and like I said, you know, they're both, I could definitely see Jim doing that, but I also see Kenny blaming himself so much of, like, I had one job, protect my mom, I failed. I should have looked after my dad, I failed. I should have looked after my mom, I failed. Like, he's going to internalize so much of that, and he's going to blame himself. And just, I just don't see that ending well. That's going to be so horrendous, you know? That's if Tien Chen dies, which there's a very strong possibility. There's like the slimmest possibility she might not die, but it's like, no, she's dead. She's super, super dead. And I'm kind of glad we didn't get to see it, but still the sound effects and her screaming, crying out, it's just, it sucks. She's been so good to so many people. She did not deserve, there's no, like, yeah, even the bad people like Randall, like, yeah, he can be a dickhead, but no one deserves this. Like, there's no like one that here that deserves any of this. Everyone's just trying to make it through. But yeah, just my point, just thinking that, just the entire ending, all I could think is Kenny, like how heartbreaking that's going to be for Kenny, and what that means for Jim and his own guilt about the whole situation. But circling back to town itself, there's at least one person that was giving Fatima like flack, because it's like, okay, you get double rations, which another person was like, yo, calm the hell down, Nikki. But she was like, I don't care, it sucks, we're all kind of starving, and like we have to ration our food, and yet you're getting more. It's like, she is eating for two, but it's like, I'm sure in her mind it's like, it's your fault for getting pregnant in this place and this dire situation we're in, whatever. But try and hold on to anything good, you know. Donna, someone, as we saw in the preview, reminded her, like, okay, this is something good. This place is a shit show of a situation, but we can find something good in all of this, then it's okay. Like, we take the good and we hold on to it for dear life. We got to have something good out of all this terrible situation. We need good amongst all the shit, so. But speaking of food, they're up Shit's Creek without a paddle, because, you know, Donald's like, right, we lost half the crop. At least let's get the rest of the crop we do have left and try to ration that out before something else happens and we lose it. Uh-oh, too late. All the food is rotten. The soil is poison, so you can't plant stuff there too. It's like boom, boom, boom. Everything that can go wrong is stacking. It's like all the negatives are stacking against the group. Now people end up rolling up on Tien Chen's place, which a lot of you are going to feel shitty now that she's dead. You're going to, like, each and every one of you that stole, fuck you. You know, I get it. People are desperate. They're panicking. But it's like, yeah, like she said, like, this is supposed to be for everyone. We're going to ration this out. If you snatch up all this food, you're not only fucking yourself in the long run, you're screwing over everyone else in the town. But no one cared. I'm going to get mine. People are scared. They're panicking. I get it. I mean, once again, Randall of it all, him coming to snatch up the goat. You know, you had Victor pull the strap out on him and like, yo, like, you don't, like, you know, and Boyd trying to talk him and everyone down about, like, right, this place won't break us. We will get through this, and that's together. Bringing up rational points. You kill the animals, that's going to short up some of our food. They are a resource that we could use them to, like, get milk and eggs. So don't slaughter the animals. But then later on, they have to admit, because of the precarious situation we're in, we might have to start slaughtering the animals, because Tien Chen's the one that suggests, well, we might have to start growing smaller crops, different crops, stuff that could be planted other places, because that soil is made, like, is perfect for what we were trying to grow before. If that's all screwed, that's all poison, we can try growing fruit and vegetables somewhere else. But it's like, yeah, this place is also going to fuck you in that regard too, so... It's at least something, and they'd have to slowly slaughter the animals, because it's like, right, if we could take about 3 months to grow some smaller vegetables, different type of vegetables, different place, but we're going to need to kill the animals in the process to keep us fed long enough, because we got, like, a lot of people hungry and a lot of food that needs to go around. Obviously, Ethan hears this, especially because it means killing Alma and the goats, which he understands that. But he's also like, kill Alma first. And Boyd's like, why? He's like, so Alma doesn't have to see her friends get killed. And you're like, that's a larger thing in itself, too. Of just like, which I don't know if that's, I mean, now saying that out loud is like, oh, the irony behind that, considering, like, you know, Boyd is begging to be killed at the end of the episode. But like, no. Why would we do that? We want to make you suffer. So they make him watch as they tear Tien Chen apart. So... I don't know if that was meant to be, like, as foreshadowing as it was. If you can, like, you know, maybe I'm over reading too much into it, but that conversation, that whole thing with Ethan being so applicable to the end of the episode is very fascinating. We also catch up a little bit with, was it Elegant? What was home dude's name? The dude that's afraid to sleep. And for him, it's like, the main reason I don't want to sleep is because I feel like being watched. And the thing that was drowning him last season is now back and still haunting him. And it's just like, for what purpose? Is it trying to show him something? Teach him? Who knows what that is? So, spooky lady, don't know what that's about. Then we also deal with what is essentially, and it's been a present issue with this place, that these things aren't zombies. They're not stupid. They're intelligent zombies in a way, but they're just straight up monsters, but they have brains. So now they're thinking like, oh, well, we know how to manipulate people to just like open the door and let us in, yada, yada, yada. But now it's like, oh, we know just what to do, because I don't think they're really the brains of the operations. I think they are puppeteers to something greater that's running this place. But either way, they let all the animals out because it's perfect bait. It's twofold. One, either you stay in your houses and you let the animals run free and they get away and you lose what the only food source you got left, or two, you come out your house and you're prey for the picking type of situation, which Boyd, Jade, Tien, and Victor all go out to help get the goats, the sheep, and the cows, which the monsters end up killing one of the cows. Like, specifically could have gone for Jay, but it specifically went out of its way to kill one of the cows. Because, like, oh, we want to screw you over. You know, it could have gone after Jade. Maybe there's a reason it didn't kill Jade. It's like, well, it's probably the Boyd of it all, too, of, oh, we just want to make you suffer. So by stripping you of your food, leaving you with less and less, we're going to make you desperate. We're going to make you broke. Like, we want you to have some semblance of hope, even though it's like, right, this place doesn't feed off your despair. It feeds off your hope. It's probably a little Danganronpa of it all, of like, oh, I want you to have hope so we can bring you to despair type of situation. So I was scared the entire time. Like while they were like initially when Tien Shin was behind the cow, I was like, please don't be in the behind. But then Boyd got in the back. I was like, okay. But I was worried. I was like, are they waiting in the barn? I was like, please don't tell me they're waiting in the barn. And lo and behold, they're waiting in the fucking barn. You're like, fuck! And you're trapped in there too. And it's not just one or two. Like, they laid out a trap, you know? And so everyone else, like Victor is okay. Ethan and Julie are okay because Sarah came through and ended up helping them as they ran away from the creatures. So it's just like, dude. Oh, yeah, and then, like, Randall was trying to help out. He was trying to draw the monster's attention by blowing on the bus's horn. And then he lets Julie, Sarah, and Ethan in, so he's got them covered. I think, Victor went back inside, I think, on his own with, like, Jade, as they were trying to get, like, the sheeps, like, inside or whatever, so they're okay, which we had Jay told breakdown. He's like, well, I'm trying to figure things out, but I haven't figured it out myself, so I can't really explain to you what that's all about. It's just, like I said, we get to the end of the episode, and it's just like, they could easily just rip her apart easily, but they're taking their time to drag it out. Like I said, maybe there's some small chance of something happens and she's actually alive, but it just feels like the fact is we have him being like, keep your eyes open, and you don't hear her saying anything anymore. She's not screaming out anymore. It feels like at that point she's already probably dead, and just it's to the point like it's not a whole thing of her screaming at him. It's just him saying, look at me, just look at me, you're so strong, and you just don't hear anything from her anymore. So she's probably already dead by that point. So it's just like, yeah, that's why I'm kind of glad I went ahead and got this out of the way, because I'm like, this dark and depressing show, dude. It's just like, oh god, it's so depressing. It's so good yet so depressing, and you're just like, I just knew they were gonna hit us with some whammy at the end of this. Like, of course you got to start to see, because I would, like I said, my mind was on Kenny. I was like, they're gonna kill somebody that we care about. Just so, like, they're gonna end up killing Kenny. I figured as much, because I'm like, you got to start off the season with a bang. There's a lot of people alive. You got to kill some characters you start to care about. So my money was on Kenny. Worse, they killed his mom, and like I said, what that's going to do to Kenny, what this whole torture is going to do to Boyd, like, it's a lot. Especially because it feels like it's almost retribution, because Tien Shin has been like a foundational part of, like, yeah, she kind of helps people out. She's also been the one that keeps up with the food. She's also the one that suggested the different, like, vegetables in different places. Like, she brought that suggestion up, so it almost feels like this place is doing that just to be very spiteful, because they also know Kenny's not here either. So it's like, it feels like it's a coordinated effort to create the most amount of, like, despair as possible. So we'll ultimately have to wait to see where this takes us. I've avoided the trailer. I don't think I've seen a frame of the trailer. I don't think I have. So I have no idea what to expect from this season. I don't even have an inkling of where things are going to go. But I'm so excited to see where the next episode takes us with all this, to see where this season ultimately ends up taking us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.